Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, lovers and seekers, those who are lost and those who are found. Tonight, we will be looking at a fragment. This one is titled, A History of Daggers and Queens. And the body of this fragment reads as follows. On the one hand and the other hand. And that's it, all of it. A history of daggers and queens. On the one hand and the other hand. That being said, let's get started, shall we? A history of daggers and queens. When approached as a found artifact, this fragment reads less like a title and more like a threshold, an opening door to a text that has partially survived time, intention, or censorship. The sparseness is not a weakness, but a signal. What remains is enough to suggest power, conflict, and a philosophy of balance, while what is missing invites interpretation. The material presence. The phrase feels inscribed rather than written, perhaps etched onto vellum, stone, or the inside cover of a lost codex. The ampersand, and, is especially telling. Unlike the word and, the symbol compresses meaning, implying inevitability and linkage rather than sequence. Daggers are not merely alongside queens, they are bound to them. The underscore line beneath the phrase resembles a lacuna, a space left by erosion, fire, or deliberate removal. It may mark where a subtitle once existed, or where a scribe intended to return. Its presence turns absence into content. Symbolic reading, daggers and queens. Daggers traditionally symbolize proximity, secrecy, and intimacy in violence. They are weapons of the hand, not the battlefield. Queens, by contrast, represent legitimacy, continuity, and public authority. The pairing suggests a history not of open war, but of courtly danger, assassinations, betrayals, whispered plots, and power exercised indirectly. Read this way, a history of daggers and queens may not be a chronicle of rulers, but of the hidden mechanisms that shaped their reigns. It implies that queens are never alone. Power always carries its counterweight in steel. On the one hand and the other hand. This line functions like a philosophical marginal note. It evokes balance, contradiction, and duality. Literally, it conjures an image. One hand holding a dagger, the other bearing a crown. Figuratively, it suggests that every action of power contains its opposite, mercy and cruelty, rule and vulnerability. The absence of punctuation makes the phrase circular, almost self-canceling. It does not resolve. It weighs. This may indicate the author's intent. History is not moralized here. It is held, examined, and allowed to remain unresolved. Authorship and purpose. If treated as a recovered document, its restraint implies sophistication. This was likely not propaganda, but reflection, possibly written by someone close to power, yet disillusioned by it. A court historian, a lady-in-waiting, a disgraced advisor, or even a queen herself writing in coded abstraction. The fragment does not instruct. It observes. Cultural function. As an artifact, the text may have served as a warning or a meditation. Perhaps it prefaced a longer work detailing reigns undone by quiet violence. Or perhaps it was meant as a philosophical shorthand, a reminder that authority is always negotiated between force and legitimacy. Its survival in fragmentary form mirrors its message. Power endures, but context is lost. Conclusion. Seen as a found artifact, A History of Daggers and Queens is less a record of events and more a thesis carved into language. It tells us that history is shaped not only by those who rule, but by what they must hold at the same time, trust and fear, symbol and weapon, one hand and the other. What remains is enough to unsettle us. And that, perhaps, was always the point.